primary hand and support hand. If we call for a transition, just keep in mind that whichever hand have that weapon in it, that's going to be your primary hand. Everybody got it?
Yes, sir.
So if I'm holding the weapon in my right hand and I transition to my support hand, I've got a new primary. So all my support functions like reloads, tactical loads, things like that, malfunction clearing will be done with my new support hand. So whichever one is not occupied with a weapon is a support hand with a support role for support functions. If I transition back into my other hand, I've got a new primary, got a new support. So everything we do in this class, when we transition into the other hand, we have a new support hand for all support functions, malfunction clearing, reloads, and so on and so on and so on. But we have to learn how to transition properly from one hand into the other. A weapon handling skill, all right? So real quick, I'm holding right now my primary hand, my weapon. Just like we talked about in your basic class, how to get a good grip on the weapon, we need to do that and establish a good grip in our support hand when transitioning. Now, some things we don't want to do. We don't want to throw the weapon in the air and catch it in our support hand. That's not how we want to transition from one hand into the other, okay? There's a few different ways we can do this. If I have a two-hand grip on the weapon right now and I want to transition to my support hand, I'm going to go thumb over, and then switch out my grip, okay? So thumb over, switch the grip. And keep in mind, 3 fingers on the bottom underneath the trigger guard, trigger finger off the trigger until when? We're ready to fire, okay? Transitioning back into my other hand. Thumb over, switch your grip. Thumb over, switch your grip. Thumb over, switch your grip. Now if I were doing this unsupported, meaning no support hand, and trying to fire with one hand, to switch hands this way, I'm just going to knock one hand out of the way for the other. So my support hand is going to go right across the primary, right at the tang, I'm going to knock the other hand out of the way, making sure that I have constant contact with the weapon at all times. So I've got a new primary hand on the weapon, support hand's back on the chest, I want to transition back to my other hand. Support hand right across the top of the primary hand, constant contact with the weapon, and making sure that I have support hand back on the chest.
Notice how this student switches his grip completely. The thumbs go across the back of the weapon, over the tang, and behind the slide, and then he flips his grip completely. Notice how he maintains control of the weapon the whole time. Don't get stuck with either of your thumbs behind the slide. Make sure both thumbs are transitioning to the other side. If you have your thumbs behind the slide, this may be a self-correcting problem, as the slide will come back during recoil and may cause an injury. In this video, notice how the fingers also are switching. They're all underneath the trigger guard. You can completely switch the grip of your hand on the weapon. Not losing control of the weapon is going to be very important, as you maintain most control for optimal safety on the range. When doing this unsupported, notice how you just knock one hand out of the way for the other. You're not throwing the weapon in the air and catching it with the other hand. Although this feels awkward at first, through constant practice, it will become a natural movement. This is a necessary skill for tactical training.